In the past couple weeks, I've highlighted information on part one and part two of Project 2 in EDU 585. So this week, I want to focus in on part three, which is the social media policy draft. I want to point out a couple things in the directions first before I go into some resources. In the beginning, the introductory paragraph says that you need to include the following information: best practices. In this, you want to talk about why it is important to have a social media policy at an online school. Remember, this is different than a face-to-face school. So specifically in an online school. And there are things you want to look at, like student-to-student interaction, teacher-to-student, teacher-to-teacher, and teachers' personal social media networks. This is very important. There's a lot of stuff that's happened in multiple situations in K-12 and higher education where teachers have gotten themselves in trouble because of their personal social media networks. So you really want to focus in on that. But you also want to look at the FERPA, the CIPA, and cultural awareness. You want to look at those other pieces. So a couple of things I've got in another tab I'll bring up where I did a Google search for K-12 social media policy. And on this page, there are a few things that I want to highlight. The first one I want to look at is Madison, Wisconsin, and their social media policy. And then there's social media policy that's for another district. Now, these are face-to-face situations. First off, you cannot just go copy a policy from somewhere and put it in here. Second off, a face-to-face one's not going to work for this project. So you're going to have to adapt it. So I want to look at real quick the Madison social media policy. And you can scroll down through. It has the purpose of guidelines, the guidelines themselves, the legal piece, the policy numbers, that type of information. And then go down through, you have district supported versus personal media. And that would be probably getting into some of the stuff that we talked about over in the directions with the teachers' personal social media accounts. So that might be a section to really look at. Then there's social media in the classroom, and there you might find some things that you might be able to use for the different types of interaction it's talking about. But if you scroll down through here, and read that, you'll find some information, and you can actually go into a PDF version of the guidelines, and it's 7 pages long, and you can see the information that's included, which is basically the same that's on the website. So you can look at in either version. So let's go back for a minute to the second option, which is a PDF. And inside this, again, it starts with a purpose. So already we've seen 2 social media policies, and both of them start with a purpose, which if we go back to the directions, in best practices, the first thing that you're supposed to add to your social media policy is a purpose. Why is it important to have the social media policy? And you can look down through the scope, the definitions. It goes into different. Here's professional social media, different things like that, controversial issues. So you can look down through the items, faculty and staff guidelines. This is where you get into a couple things, but here is the personal use of social network sites, including Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. You'll probably really want to look at that. So you can find, by looking at other policies, you can find some really good ideas to put your policy together. Now, if I go in and read the section that I just highlighted, this section, and I get some ideas from these bullet points for my project, you will have to cite this document using APA format. But I just wanted to give you some different things to help get you started on part 3 of Project 2 in EDU 585.